Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Restoring Hope Gala for Scarlet Road. My name is Elle Bullard.
And my name is Mark Bullard, and tonight we will be your hosts as we learn about and celebrate the mission of Scarlet Road and the survivors they are empowering.
We want to take a moment to thank our presenting sponsor, Integrity Roofing and Construction. Without Integrity's financial support, this evening's program literally would not be possible. In addition, we want to acknowledge our matching sponsors, the Manette Clinic, Strategy Real Estate, Something Suzanne, Harnish Auto Family, Susan Larson, and Doug and Susan Oddie. Finally, we want to thank all of our supporting sponsors and our in-kind donors of cake and wine that some of you small gathering hosts are enjoying at home tonight.
Lastly, our objective this evening is to restore hope. But in the process, we'll be covering some dark topics with some descriptions that we believe would be inappropriate for children. If you wish to share this message with your children, we ask that you would please watch it first and then make that decision. Thank you.
Now, I would like to introduce you to Andrea Wilson. Andrea has been with Scarlet Road for 7 years and serves as the Director of Finance and Engagement. Andrea obtained a degree in accounting because she wanted to have a hard skill to actually help nonprofits grow. I love that. She is passionate about Scarlet Road and its mission to walk alongside our sexually exploited neighbors. Andrea is an integral part of the Scarlet Road family. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Mark and Elle, for the kind words. As they said, I am Andrea Wilson, Director of Finance and Engagement at Scarlet Road. I'm going to share a few words about Scarlet Road for just to help you get an idea of what we do. Through holistic care, Scarlet Road offers the hope of freedom to those who have been sexually exploited. Sex trafficking. Here, yes, I was shocked the first time that I found out that was true. Scarlet Road was born out of our founders, Jana, Rosie, and Victoria, hanging out with girls from the old strip club in Port Orchard and realizing that they were not able to access services available to them, like housing or food stamps. And it's not that the services weren't available for these women, but it's that they have so many barriers, like criminal charges, or their pimp has their ID for control, or they have no address to mail it, put on their resume, right? So Scarlet was born out of that need. At Scarlet Road, we offer the hope of freedom through 3 strands of programming: prevent, reach, and restore. We help to prevent sex trafficking through our survivor-created interactive training. The outreach team equips students, medical providers, nonprofits, law enforcement, community members, and other people that we know come in contact with victims of sexual exploitation to safely identify and respond to those in need. The second strand is reach. We do this by connecting with local victims of sexual exploitation, validating their experiences, and offering crisis intervention and safe exit solutions. And last but not least, restore. Through our comprehensive aftercare program, we provide long-term wraparound restorative care. We have 5 pillars, which are the basis for establishing individualized goals, as some clients in our program are just leaving their abusers, and others have been free for 20 years, but haven't been able to stabilize their life because of all their barriers. So the 5 pillars are free from exploitation, stably housed, and safe and stably housed, self-supporting, which can include both and or education and a job, mentally well, and this is, we connect people with therapeutic supports and different opportunities. And then also the 5th is in healthy community, which, as we know, is important for everybody. All of these are important for everybody, but healthy community, especially recovering from trauma, is very important. Aftercare is where we do a lot of our journeying through the ups and downs, the wins and the losses. I personally feel honored to see the incredible resilience our survivors have in the face of so much hurt. I know this is a hard issue, but I want you to keep in mind that there is so much hope and healing, and I have had the opportunity to get to know some of our survivors, and the strength that these individuals have it's encouraging to me, and I think we can all learn from it. Tonight we are doing a deep dive into one aspect of sexual exploitation, which is pornography and online exploitation. We have Dr. Gail Dines, a scholar and activist in the anti-porn movement, sharing some raw truths about porn, and also a survivor who has experienced online exploitation herself, and she has graciously shared her story with all of us. So I just want to say thank you for joining tonight. By even you just watching and learning, you are helping provide a vibrant life of freedom for every person. I'd like to now welcome Elle and Mark back. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Andrea. Next, we are going to hear from Dr. Gail Dines, as Andrea was telling us. Dr. Dines is a leading scholar on anti-pornography. She has literally been researching and writing about this topic, about porn, the porn industry, and sexual violence for more than 3 decades. Dr. Dines is a widely published author and regularly appears in the media as an expert on the pornography crisis.
Dr. Dines will be highlighting the connection between sexual exploitation and pornography. Our goal this evening is to help you understand that connection. This is heavy content, but we want to speak honestly about some of the harsh realities that survivors in our community endure. This information can be very graphic and will likely make us feel uncomfortable. We ask that you be willing to remain uncomfortable while we seek to learn during this time. We are extremely honored to have Dr. Dines.
Good evening. I'm really delighted to be here tonight and be a part of this festive occasion, and also wish all the best to Scarlet Road. So tonight I've been asked if I will speak on the connections between pornography, pop culture, and prostitution. So I'm just going to share my screen. And the main topic of my talk tonight is going to be on pornography, pop culture, and prostitution, and really unpacking the links. So let's first of all talk about media images and how they glamorize prostitution. So of course, when you're going to talk about this, the first film you have to discuss is Pretty Woman, which made Julia Roberts a mega star. And what it did was really whitewash the reality of what happens to women in the sex industry. And specifically what it did was to give this idea that somehow getting into the sex industry and being prostituted is a way to end up living in wedded bliss with your John. And what's interesting about this, though, is that although Pretty Woman made a load of money for Hollywood, what Hollywood always tends to do when they find a film that makes a lot of money is they do Pretty Woman Part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice there was no Pretty Woman Part 2. Why? Because it would have been ridiculous. Could you imagine Julia Roberts going off with her John and living a life of fulfillment and joy? No, her life would have been hell. And in reality, someone in Hollywood has a sense of humor, because there was no Pretty Woman Part 2, but the film Julia Roberts made after this was called Sleeping with the Enemy, which in fact would have been exactly what her life would have been like had she indeed gone off and married her John. Now, what we find in Hollywood is that the top actresses play prostituted women as if it's somewhat glamorous. We have Nicole Kidman, Amanda Seyfried, Penelope Cruz. And what we see is really interesting. 26 Oscar nominations for playing prostituted women and 15 won. This is a really good amount. So if you want to go and win an Oscar, then I would suggest that what you do is you play a prostituted woman. But of course, it looks nothing like the reality of women in prostitution. Now, we often find that we sort of want to know all about women in prostitution and how they got there. This kind of somewhat fetishization of this. But what I'm more interested in is the John, because what we're going to talk about later is how very few women in prostitution, if any, have a choice. But who do have a choice is the John. Why does he buy sex? Now, there were 2 answers to this. Either we can argue that men are biologically predisposed to be sex buyers, and we call that biological determination, or that men are socialized into being sex buyers. Now, I refuse to accept as a feminist that men are born biologically predisposed to be sex buyers, rapists, pornographers, pimps. I refuse to accept that. And I refuse to accept it because I know men are worth more. And what's often interesting is that feminists are called man haters, when in fact we are men's best friends. We are actually the ones rooting for men because we don't believe they're born with less capacity for humanity than women. And I know that men and boys have the full capacity for humanity that women do. And I know that as a feminist, I know it as a sociologist, and most profoundly, I know this as a mother of a son. No one can tell me that my son was born with any less capacity to be a full human being. So if we're going to get rid of biological determination, we then have to go to the second explanation, that men are socialized into being sex buyers through the culture. And if we're going to explore what cultural factors socialize men into being sex buyers, we have to get to pornography. It has become the major form of sex education today for kids all over the world. The numbers of men and boys and increasingly women who are viewing porn tells us that pornography is shifting the sexual template, attitudes and behaviors of boys and men and some women all over the world. So let's look at the size of this industry. Porn sites get more visitors each month than Netflix, Amazon, and Twitter combined. This is a huge, above-ground, legitimate industry. Pornhub statistics. In 2019, was 42 billion visits. Just think about that, which was up from 33 billion in 2018. The daily average is 100 million visitors, 962 searches a second. This is just on Pornhub, one single porn site, which is by no doubt by far the most popular porn site, but still it's just one of many. In 2019, it uploaded 4.79 million new videos and it created over 1 million hours of new content. This is a vast business. Now, in December 2020, Pornhub was forced to remove 10 million videos after they were exposed for using trafficked girls and women. Now, you know, the media thought this was great. This is Pornhub really being responsible. Well, let's not forget the other 3 million videos on Pornhub and the violence in Pornhub. And the truth is, we don't know if any of these women consented. We have no way of knowing because there's virtually no monitoring of any of Pornhub's content. So if the women are trafficked, prostituted, or forced and coerced in other ways, we have absolutely no way of figuring out what percentage of women consent to be in Pornhub. Now, we also know that the hidden coercive structural factors really force us to ask, what is consent anyway? In a system where women are caught in a web of gender, racial and economic inequality. This is what funnels most women into prostitution, into being trafficked, into pornography. And they're often hidden structural factors because we don't think about the fact that women are the majority of the world's poor and that especially women of colour are the most vulnerable to being exploited in the sex industry. We also know that a disproportionate percentage of women in the sex industry are victims of sexual abuse during childhood or teenagehood. So I would really ask us to think twice about ever saying that women consent to pornography or prostitution. And I would think we're best off starting with the assumption that the woman is not consenting and it is up to the sex industry to prove consent. So let's talk about the content of mainstream pornography, and then I'm going to link how this impacts trafficking and prostitution and the rest of the sex industry. So if you go into Pornhub or most of the porn sites, you will find the following sex acts. Gagging women with a penis, gagging woman with a penis till it's so far down her throat she chokes. Strangulation, hands around the throat, often to the point where I have seen women on Pornhub have pass out or her eyes roll back. Very, very rough anal sex, to the point that women's anuses often drop out in the porn industry and are forced to have their anuses sewn up. So again, the violence done to women's bodies. Ejaculation on the face. I don't think I've ever seen a porn scene that doesn't end with numerous men ejaculating on a woman's face, which is such a way to debase the woman. ATM, which stands for ass to mouth, which is where the penis is put into her anus and then into her mouth without washing. Again, a way to degrade her. And spitting in her face. So the standard porn scene that men and boys are being socialized through into thinking about what real sex looks like is a woman being orally, anally, vaginally penetrated by 3 or more men, ending with ejaculation on the face. She's being spat upon. She's being called every name you can imagine. That's the standard porn scene. Of all the millions and millions of videos up there, those are the standard porn scenes. We also know from the gold standard research of Anna Bridges that 90% of the most watched scenes contained at least one form of violence against women. So this is an industry based on the degradation of women, the humiliation of women, and violence against women, and increasingly children. So what I'm arguing here is that mainstream hardcore porn is a major driver of demand for trafficked women. Because once you have been socialized into seeing pornography as mainstream sex, then what kind of sex are you going to look for? You're going to look for this hardcore porn sex. And who's going to agree to this? Well, not many women, but you have to go to women who have no choice but to say yes. And who are those? Those are women being exploited in the porn industry who will be beaten and in some case murdered if they say no to the job. So in order to understand the relationship between the two, I just want to go into some of Melissa Farley's work where she interviewed sex buyers and to see the connection to pornography. Some of them said, I know porn stars, they enjoy sex on film more than other prostitutes. Interestingly, how the men here understand that there is a revolving door between porn and prostitution. In fact, it's often the same thing. Another one, whenever I went for sex, I'd try new styles I'd seen in porn movies, sex movies. We want to follow what we see in porn. We all collectively want to try after watching a sex movie that shows gang rape. In the movies, the girls always agreed, but in Cambodia, the girls who were taken was likely to be beaten unless she agreed. So we can see, listening to men who buy sex, that they clearly see the connection. And in fact, that pornography is often a driving force. Now, what are the effects on women and children who are victims of what really can only be called image-based sexual violence? I really think we need to get rid of the term pornography and call it image-based sexual violence. So what do we know about this? These women have to live with the knowledge that porn users are masturbating to you being sexually assaulted. How does that feel to live with that? Or that you have to live with the fact that these images will follow you for the rest of your life. So there's no way to escape your past. You live with fear that your kids, your partners, your family members, your neighbors, your employees, anyone could at any time find these images. You never feel safe. And these images can be used for sextortion by coercing the victims into further systems of sexual exploitation. And we know that thanks to a lot of the platforms, and especially the teen platforms like Snapchat and Instagram, is increasingly sextortion is being used as a way to force women into pornography, prostitution, and trafficking. So let's boil down what the links are. Many women in porn are prostituted into the industry, and they're called often in porn suitcase pimps, right? They walk around with their suitcase looking for women that they can then sell to the porn industry. The women move between porn industry and other sectors of the sex industry. It's really a revolving door. Porn is made of prostituted women by the pimps and johns and then uploaded onto the free porn sites. And in many cases, I have seen images on Pornhub where clearly the prostituted women had no idea that porn was being made of them. Pornography is prostituted sex with the camera going. And often it's videos of children and women being raped are uploaded onto mainstream porn sites by family members who are themselves the pimps. So we have to realize here that a lot of the family members act as pimps, and this is especially the case the younger the victim is. So we need solutions, and there are solutions. This is not overwhelming. We can fight this. So what are some of the solutions? Heavily regulate the porn industry. Regulate it to such a degree that production and consumption become so cumbersome that it's almost not worth going to pornography. Apply the Nordic model to pornography. Now, this means that the users of porn have to be treated as sex buyers and prosecuted as such. Apply anti-trafficking laws to pornographers. And we know that many of the women on Pornhub are trafficked, and there was a recent few cases where the women eventually did get their images down, but it took many years and a lot of money for them to get their videos down. Very importantly, refuse to be co-opted into faux feminism. Pornography, prostitution, stripping, this is not sexual empowerment. What happened to the feminism where you knew that if you were speaking to another feminist, they were absolutely opposed to the sex industry in all its forms? And now it's being sold by what I call faux feminists as a kind of sexual empowerment for women. There is nothing empowering about being exploited in the sex industry. And you know what? If it was so great, you would see men running to be in the sex industry. So my argument here is that we need to reboot feminism into understanding that the sex industry is a form of violence against women. And importantly, organize, organize, and organize. This is what we need to do. Never feel overwhelmed, because if you do the work of the sex industry. They want us to feel like we can't fight back. They want us to feel like this is too big a problem. And in reality, we know that the rage and the anger and the capacity of women to organize moves mountains. And this is so important for us to start organizing against the sex industry, because once we let our rage, regulated rage, by the way, not out of control rage, once we use that, we can push this boulder up a hill. This is what women do to make life worth livable. We have pushed so many boulders up hills, and this is one more we're going to do. And you know what? We can do it. We're doing it at Culture Reframed. We're doing it through other organizations. And my argument is one, at some point in one's life, maybe a young person will come up to you and say, where were you when all this was happening? What did you do? And you have two choices. And I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for the moment. I'm just going to say you have two choices. You can answer, you know what? I'm sorry that our whole society became pornified, but what could I do? Or the other answer is to say, you know what? I fought with everything I have to make this a world worth living in for women and children. And if we change the I to the we, you know what the last sentence will be? We won. We won. Because when we work together, we are an unstoppable force. So again, I hope you're having a good evening. I wish you the best of luck. And it's a shame we can't all be in the same room together, but enjoy the festivities. So again, thank you for inviting me. And I look forward at some point to meeting you all in person. Take care and have a good evening.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you for staying with us through that hard message. I want to take a moment right now to just take a big breath. It's difficult to hear a message like that, but we need to understand the links between all kinds of sexual exploitation.
In the end, I'm so thankful for Dr. Dine's remarks that we really can win if we work on this together. This is not overwhelming. We can fight this. And that's what tonight is all about. It's about all of us coming together to say we can and we will do better. Scarlet Road is a beacon of hope for the women in this community who have survived this, and you are a beacon of hope for Scarlet Road.
Indeed. So after hearing from Dr. Dines, we are now going to hear the brave and vulnerable story of a survivor from our own community. From someone who has lived through the nightmare, but who has experienced freedom and hope thanks to the team at Scarlet Road and thanks to supporters like you. We so appreciate her sharing her journey with us tonight.
I was 4 when my life became a nightmare. My father was very abusive, sexually, mentally, and physically for years. When all of this was happening to me, I would go inside my mind to this world I created. But after creating this illusion, it became my cage, full of pain and darkness, afraid to run or scream. Even if I spoke up, no one would believe me. Always in the back of my head were those nasty, dark thoughts. You deserve to be miserable and abused. No one will ever respect you or love you. You're a loser, trash, nothing will change. I became so dark and depressed. I cut my wrist, arms, and legs. I started to hang out with the wrong crowd, a group of people damaged just like me. It felt great to finally belong. We used drugs to numb and ended up using one another in an attempt to heal our heartaches. I was assaulted numerous times. Eventually, I got married to an army soldier I met in Tacoma. We had a baby, and for a moment, I was so happy. I was free from my past and ready to start a new, exciting chapter. But then the real story came out. My husband was addicted to porn, which became his template for everything about sex and relationships. He would have us have sex on live videos for others to watch, and he got off on watching men have sex with me and use me. Every one of our private photos or videos he would put online. He would gamble on me, and various men would pay for me. It was humiliating. I didn't know how to change this situation. I was freshly married and a mother with no education or anyone to help me. We separated so many times. I had to use my body to pay rent and other bills. But what else was I supposed to do? He would take everything, and I had no way to get money from our shared bank account. That was his way of controlling me, knowing I had nothing and nobody. He beat me so badly, and the kids were taken away into foster care. Soon after, he divorced me without warning. I was broken, without my children, alone and ashamed. I cried every night. Eventually, I lost my babies. I felt like a failure, and I drank as much as I could to try to numb my emotions. I then met my youngest son's father. It was all about control. He knew I was weak, abused, and had no self-worth. You know, abusers see that inside of you. They prey on it, taste it, smell it, thriving for a new victim. After using up what little is left of our souls, they throw us away, like the garbage we feel we already are. Finally, I got out with my son. I was free from this hell, and my son was safe and was never going to see his mom bruised again. I was diagnosed with PTSD, massive depression disorder, borderline personality disorder, battered woman's disorder, anxiety, night terrors, body tremors, and was afraid of the dark. My whole life was excruciating torture of my mind, body, and soul. I never had real options or choices. It was all forced upon me. I heard about an organization that worked with people in my situation. Everything was falling apart in my life, so I thought I'd give it a try. I reached out to Scarlet Road and was seen and heard in a way that brought healing. I was given real options and choices, and they wanted nothing in return for their assistance. Since then, I have gotten job training, and I now have a full-time job. I focused on my physical and mental health, taken a class on healthy eating and grocery shopping for my family, and received therapy. I am finally in safe and long-term housing with my child as Scarlet Road paid my deposit and first month of rent. Scarlet Road connected me with a great lawyer who took my case against my ex, and he believed me for what I felt was the first time I had begun to build a healthy community in my life through opportunities at Scarlet Road. I am learning to budget for our future and know how to identify safe and unsafe situations. I now recognize that I am a great mother and friend. Today, I have chosen to forgive, as holding my abuser's horrors only hurts me. For at least 10 years, I have dreamed of giving back in some way and to share my story and the hope that it can help others in similar situations. I want to help others throw off the guilt and shame that buries so many of us who ourselves are survivors of exploitation. I know that the pictures and videos of me will always live on the internet, far beyond my life on earth, but I have chosen to turn my mind and heart toward freedom and focus on those things that are true and beautiful. Regardless of my past, I am still here, and I will boldly and confidently walk into the future knowing my true worth and value.
Good evening. My name is Rosie Garby. I'm the Executive Director at Scarlet Road. I have the privilege of being the Executive Director at Scarlet Road and the weighty responsibility of being the Executive Director at Scarlet Road. Tonight, we have taken the bold choice to take you on a journey through a topic that is often very hard to digest. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge you and thank you for showing up tonight and for choosing to go on that journey with us. We often allow ourselves to believe that the sex industry is glossy and harmless. They want to be there. They chose this life. A mentality that allows us to create distance from the uncomfortable. Pornography is a part of the sex industry that because it's legal, we assume it's free from abuse and harm and violence. But as you've heard tonight, at its core is harm. At Scarlet Road, online exploitation impacts nearly every person we serve, leaving lasting images that scar their future. Maybe my new boss saw me on that porn site he visited last week. Or maybe it was my landlord who watched that video and now he's making advances at me and I'm afraid I might lose my housing. Online exploitation follows a survivor for life, creating crippling fear and shame in their life. While we don't have the power to make a survivor's past disappear, we do have the ability to equip survivors with the skills, with the support, and with the resources to move beyond their past and to thrive. Each day, the team at Scarlet Road works to create a safe and supportive environment where survivors can move from crisis to stability. Supporting each person's unique set of needs and celebrating each set of strengths that they are inherently bringing with them. Holding on to the possibility of hope and healing, often when a survivor is in their darkest hour after leaving abuse. By you supporting Scarlet Road and joining us in this journey, you create the opportunity to help each person build attainable, life-changing steps towards action in their life. They begin to build the skills and to equip themselves with the ability to process their trauma and to empower them to regain autonomy in their life. And for some, it's the first time they've ever had autonomy in their life. Some days look like helping navigate through complicated legal systems, or building employment skills, or creating long-term stability through getting a job. Other days, it means finding permanent, safe housing, or perhaps learning what it looks and feels like to have healthy boundaries in your life, where you aren't afraid to say no. Ultimately, it means building a structure of support far beyond Scarlet Road so that a survivor can move into their future and thrive. Each year at Scarlet Road, we are equipping hundreds of youth in our community with the knowledge and the tools to prevent them from ever falling victim to sexual exploitation, specifically sexual exploitation, and effectively avoiding a life of trauma and brokenness. We have been given the opportunity to help create lasting change for each person that we encounter at Scarlet Road. This is a weighty responsibility. However, every year we feel the limitations to our capacity, knowing that there are more survivors that we can't reach, that have no way out. We have been forced to put people on waiting lists because we simply don't have the staff to serve everyone who's seeking help. And we've had to turn down schools who want their students educated because we don't have the manpower to be everywhere in our community. But these are not problems without solutions. This is not a hopeless fight. It has and will continue to take a tidal wave of change in our community. We are only able to see amazing change in the lives of people we are serving because of you. Your support each year has allowed us to exponentially grow our reach throughout the community, serving more people and making greater impact every year. By supporting Scarlet Road and joining us, you are joining us in telling a survivor that they are loved, they are worth more than a transaction, and that they deserve to be living a thriving life of freedom. I hope that tonight sparks challenge and the challenge of change in each of you. Thank you so much for joining us and continuing to show up.
Wow. Rosie is passionate.
I want to say, yes.
Yeah, like, amen. All right. Wow. I feel like that could just end right there. All right. So, but now we get to have even more fun. We are ready to raise some money. Tonight, we've heard about the challenges and the obstacles, but we've also heard about the opportunities and the successes. Right now, we are full of hope because, as Dr. Dine shared, if we all work together, we can be the change makers and the peacemakers. As you heard from Rosie, there is a fantastic opportunity in front of us, but we cannot meet it alone. So we are counting on you, the Scarlet Road community, the friends, the family, and the neighbors of Scarlet Road, to show up tonight, to join that tidal wave that Rosie was sharing with us, so that we can bring that change together?
So I'm kind of a numbers guy, and I was fascinated to see that in 2018, Scarlet Road raised about $40,000 in their gala. The next year, in 2019, they went all the way to $60,000. That's a 50% increase. Now, that's phenomenal for a local organization. I was super impressed with that. Last year was a bit rough. We had a worldwide pandemic. Everything was shut down. We couldn't meet in person, and we had to go online. But Scarlet Road still raised $50,000. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So this year, Elle and I asked the team here, how much would you like to have as a goal for your raising? And they said they would be thrilled if they could raise another $50,000. And that would be amazing. It would be totally amazing. But I think there's an opportunity to go even further. I would love to see us jump in the same way we did from 2018 to 2019 and go from 50,000 to 70,000. I think we can do it, and this is the year.
Yes.
So I'm going to start by asking if a couple of you would be willing to step up to the plate and knock the ball out of the park with a gift of $10,000. Now, $10,000, what would that achieve? It would provide crisis and intervention support for 25 survivors this year. So imagine if just 4 people came to the plate and knocked it out of the park with $10,000, we would be able to support 100 survivors this year. Imagine 100 people on the path to freedom.
I love that idea. Now, if $10,000 is a big ask, which it is for most of us, perhaps you'd be willing to give $5,000. That would be enough to equip 500 students to recognize, avoid, and safely report sexual exploitation. In Kitsap County alone, there are 6,000 students in 8th grade. If we had 12 donors give $5,000, we could reach every single 8th grader in our county. Imagine all of our students getting that education. That would be amazing. Imagine the change that would come from that education.
It would be amazing. So for some of you, $2,500 might be the right giving level. And each one of you that gives $2,500 can help a survivor move into safe housing. Now think about this right now. You right now are very likely sitting in a safe, comfortable home. You're not worried about who's going to come through the front door or who's going to walk into your bedroom uninvited. We want to provide that kind of safety, that kind of environment for the people that are the survivors that Scarlet Road is supporting.
And for people who likely haven't experienced that safety and comfort before in their lives.
Exactly.
Something that we take for granted. All right, next we have a gift of $1,000. That $1,000 can help provide 3 months of wraparound care for survivors of sexual exploitation. I love that term, wraparound care. It's like a hug. They're going to walk alongside them, help them navigate that incredibly rocky transition out of the life of exploitation into a life of freedom. If 12 of us commit to giving $1,000 right now, we can effectively support 4 women for the next year with the love and the care and guidance offered by Scarlet Road's team. 4 people. 4 people's lives would be radically changed by your $1,000 gift.
A gift of $500 can help to cover the cost of an ER visit for a survivor who's experienced physical trauma. Now, most of us have insurance of some kind, and we don't really give a second thought to go into the ER when someone that we love gets hurt.
Yeah.
My daughter had a bike accident recently, and we took her to the hospital right away to help her out. We want to give the survivors of this kind of exploitation that same kind of support and care that they need. $500 can help cover one of those visits.
At $250, you are providing a month's worth of groceries for a survivor and her children. You are helping break the cycle by empowering a mom to be a mom and to provide care for her children. You know, what is more mom than being able to feed your kids?
Totally. A gift of $100 would help cover the monthly cost of a peer survivor support group. Every $100 gift adds up. And all these pieces, they help, and every piece adds up.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of adding up, what if every single one of us that are watching tonight, if we were able to give $50? For you or me, that might be a dinner out, a new shirt, but that $50 can help us give a survivor an emergency cell phone to ensure access to safety. So whatever amount you've already agreed to or planned on giving tonight, I'm going to challenge you to add $50. Add that night out for dinner. And if we all add that money together, imagine that's going to have an effect. That's going to be impactful.
Absolutely. So we want to remind you that all of the gifts that you give tonight are going to be used in the most efficient manner possible, and they'll be applied where they're most needed. Now, the more you give, the more needs we'll be able to meet. Mm-hmm. In the last year, as Rosie shared with us earlier, Scarlet Road had to maintain a waiting list. That just breaks my heart. A waiting list for women who want and need help. But if we want to see that list disappear, we have to dig deep and give big.
And when we met with the team prior to tonight, we heard about that waiting list, and it broke our hearts. And the sad truth that they shared with us is that, unfortunately, people who are put on a waiting list, by the time their name comes to the top of the list, their life is usually not in a place where they're ready to make that change again. That there's this window of opportunity where they have the courage and they're ready to go. And we want to be able to meet them at that moment, to not have to circle back with them maybe in a year or 2 or 5 years when they're able to make that change again. So, Mark, we should remind everybody how they can give. Where does this giving happen?
It happens online.
Yeah, I know. This is a virtual event, of course, remember?
I do, but I don't remember the exact website.
scarletroad.org/gala.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you can give there. And also, if you're planning to write a check and mail that in, there's an option to identify that as that you plan to write a check and send it in, so that we can still count it tonight, because we're excited to see how much of your support is going to be coming in this evening.
Yeah, we want all of it to be counted. So
Indeed.
Go online, scarletroad.org/gala, and start the giving. Let's get that giving party going.
Indeed.
So we are very fortunate to have a string ensemble with us this evening from Seaside Church. They are going to bless us with some beautiful music while you pray, consider, discuss how you feel called to give and support the work of Scarlet Road. In about 10 minutes after the music, we will have a short video that will share with you how your fellow supporters share their story and how they have connected with Scarlet Road. And then we'll be back to share the winners of our social media posting, to give away those prizes, and most importantly, to celebrate how much money we have raised tonight for Scarlet Road. Please enjoy the music.
am Nikisha, and I am a mentor at Scarlet Road. Be available for the girls that I mentor. I'm there for phone calls. We go for walks, do all sorts of fun things. I enjoy it so much because I have also lived a crazy lifestyle, and now that I have changed my life and given my life to Jesus, it offers me an opportunity to give back. And I love Scarlet Road so much because I've seen a lot of young women whose lives have been changed in the way that they are now available to impact our community.
My name is Barry Bandera, lead pastor at Grace Point Church. And a number of years ago, we were looking and praying for a partnership of a ministry that helps women and teenagers be rescued from the sex industry. And I really wanted someone local. We started supporting on a monthly basis, and we've encouraged our church to come over and volunteer and help out. She told me the story and the purpose of helping girls and women in Kitsap County to be free from sexual exploitation. Every time we mention what you guys are, who you are, and what you're doing, they break out in applause. So it's awesome.
I'm Lang.
And I'm Lisa.
And
Lang's wife.
We're the hands and feet, if you will, of Christ. To me, Scarlet Road is a massively positive influence to help bring life to the flourishing to people who would have otherwise life to the worst, really, like literally. And I cannot be more honored than to be a supporter and fan and try and champion as best I can the amazing healing, redemptive, restorative work that Scarlet Road does.
I'm Todd Baylor. I own Firefly Salon, or I'm co-owner of Firefly Salon with Robert and Baylor. And this is Kaylee.
Hello.
She's our manager.
I think that's really important to keep it local and make sure that we're taking care of our community, and then if we have the ability to outreach to other communities.
The Scarlet Road stickers that we have, and they ask what it is, and then we explain it, and people go, that happens here. We're like, yeah.
The work that Scarlet Road does has given us the ability to really push forward and help make a difference.
When God directs us to a ministry, He kind of stirs us up. We felt the need to do something regarding this human trafficking and prostitution. I saw something that said, hey, there's this ministry called the Scarlet Road. But I called, and Victoria answered the phone. I went down there and had a one-to-one talk with her, and it was very enlightening. And so I came home and told Shelley. And
as a grandparent and a mother, I think everyone's nightmare is that their child will be somehow impacted by something like that. And you don't want to see that happen. That there's an organization out there like Scarlet Road who is, their goal is to not only get them out of that lifestyle, but to get them into a new lifestyle with the Lord.
Hi, my name is Annie Ludlow, and I have the incredible honor of being a board member for Scarlet Road, along with my other fantastic board members. I want to leave you with one last thing, which is our vision statement, and that is a vibrant life of freedom for all. That is our vision for Scarlet Road, that each person, each life we touch, everyone in the community that's sexually exploited would find a vibrant life of freedom. So thank you so much for being part of this fundraiser. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for all your love. Blessings.
Wow, Annie was a perfect way to finish that video, wasn't she?
Indeed. A vibrant life for all.
A vibrant life of freedom,
freedom.
For all.
There
We got to
you
get
go.
that right.
Freedom.
Yes.
Important.
So I hope tonight has been meaningful to you. It has been meaningful for us. I feel, as one of the donors mentioned, I feel stirred up. I feel, we've been taught some difficult things, educated about a really painful topic, but also we've been shown that there's hope, that there's healing possible, that Scarlet Road is impacting people's lives. And we thank you for giving us your time to join us, to learn about that work, and to support it, to help it go into the new year, to continue the amazing ministry and work that they do.
And Dr. Dine said, organize, organize, organize.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we're doing right here, right now. We're getting together. we're coming together as a group, as an organization, and that's, as we saw in the video, there's hands and feet. There are people who are actually having to do the work. There's the people that bring the financial support. All of it is necessary. Everyone has a role to play.
And all of it is important.
And all of it is important.
No one piece can stand on its own. It is truly a collective effort, and you are part of that collective effort.
Super.
So thank you for standing in the gap that Rosie was telling us about, the gap that people are being turned away by. So thank you. Before we go any further, I need to acknowledge that phenomenal music that we just had. It lifted my heart. It was a wonderful way to fill the time as you pondered your giving. And now it's time to talk about some winning in addition to the giving. Yeah. So for those of you who joined the social media party, you were entered to win some fun prizes.
Indeed.
Yeah, the first one is the Silver City gift certificate for $50, and our winner is Diana Fraser. Congratulations, Diana! Woohoo! Yeah. Exactly.
And the second prize for the social media participation is the Lively olive oils and vinegar set, which, as Elle mentioned earlier, will definitely spice up your life.
Yep.
And make those salads that much better. So the winner of that is Malia, and I'm going to take a try at your name, Goyanechea. Malia Goyanechea. You are the winner of the olive oil set and vinegars.
And we apologize if we slaughtered your name. All right, now, all of you who purchased your tickets for tonight, you got to choose, you were entered into a drawing, and you had a choice of which prize was the most tantalizing to you. So,
and the first prize is the one that Elle is the most excited about. This is something she has always wanted to do. So if you're looking for someone to share it with,
I'll happily go with you.
Maybe Elle's your person.
Yeah.
So that is a police boat ride. And the winner of that is Jeannie Paulson.
Congrats, Jeannie. You're going to have a great time. Woo!
So Elle, what exactly is a police boat ride?
It's a ride along with the police in Bainbridge in their super cool boat, and you get to feel all official, and there's probably sirens and
Lights.
stuff. Yeah.
Maybe they'll even let you turn the lights on.
Yeah, I think that's super cool.
So the second one is a housework package. So Elle, tell us about this housework package.
Well, from what I understand, it is as if you have a whole team of minions that come and refresh your house. There is
the little yellow people, they wear blue suits.
Yeah, there's something about carpet cleaning and plumbing and just all sorts of stuff. You're just going to sit and drink lemonade and poof, it will all be better.
Awesome. So the winner of that is Tess Moore.
Congrats,
so congratulations, Tess Moore.
Yoo-hoo!
And the last one here is a Storyville coffee package. Can you tell us about that? What's that?
It's just a whole lot of awesome Storyville. I don't think you need to say anything more than that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you're familiar with Storyville, fantastic coffee made right here on Bainbridge Island. The winner of that is Annie Klein. So congratulations, Annie.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we want to tell you where we're at in the giving at this point. So
who gets to tell them? Do I get to tell them, or do you get to tell them?
Well, I'm going to say some, and then you get to say some.
Okay.
So last year, where we were at this point was $30,000, and then y'all kept giving, which is super exciting because it's not like we're done when we sign off tonight.
Right. Envelopes keep flying. Visa cards kept coming out.
So the grand total, when it was all said and done, was $50,000. But at this point last year, we were at 30. So right now, where are we at this year, Mr. Bullard?
Right now, we're already at $38,000.
What?
Woo! So we are looking forward to seeing the rest of that money continue to pile in.
Yes.
We're very excited to see that happen. And the team here will follow up with emails and let everybody know about exactly what the total is in the end.
But we do want to see that figure keep growing. So the work is not done. So again, join us to help move that tidal wave forward. We're going to welcome Rosie back, our fearless leader, as we close out tonight.
Thank you guys so much. Elle, Mark, thank you so much for your dedication to making tonight happen. And I want to thank all of our sponsors, every single one of them who came alongside us before the event even happened, believing in the work that we're doing. And really, I just want to say, thank you so much from each and every person that makes Scarlet Road work.
Yeah.
There are staff, there are volunteers, there are board members, and really, ultimately, you are impacting a survivor's life tonight. So thank you from the survivors. I hope that you have a wonderful evening tonight.
We have an update.
As
I
soon
can't
as I'm
read it that
done.
far. Come
Is
closer.
that 140? No, $40,000 already.
Look at that.
Look at that. We're continuing
All
to
right.
rise. All right.
If
Awesome.
we just keep talking, let's see what happens.
It's always when you're the closest to being finished.
Right.
She's so good at it. Anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us and making this happen.
Yeah. We look forward to seeing you next year. We anticipate that we will be together in person, which is a really beautiful thing to look forward to. But we so appreciate you giving us the gift of your time, even remotely. We know it's an extra step to do a virtual event. So thank you for doing that.
Have a great night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.